Hello and welcome to Blake McKinnon Productions. My name is Blake McKinnon and this is the second devlog for Sleigh Bells. So in the last devlog I said something stupid like, and the whole thing is moving along much quicker than I expected it to. That did not last very long. Everything was moving along pretty fast. Doing all of the prototyping and initial programming was pretty quick, but then I had to go and build the actual game. The last week has almost been entirely spent building the first section of the city. I was expecting it to take about 2 days, but it's ended up taking about 6 and I'm still not completely finished. I decided not to design the maps in advance, and instead went with an iterative approach. I think that this is the approach that Romero went with when he designed the first chapter for Doom, Knee Deep in the Dead, which is my favourite chapter of Doom, in fact of any Doom game. And as Romero has been the most influential game designer on me, having been someone that I really looked up to when I was a kid dreaming of becoming a game developer, I decided to go with this approach. What an iterative approach means is that instead of going off of a plan, I just put the player in an empty scene and add a building, then go play test the scene, decide where I want to put another building, and then go add that in, and basically just repeat this process over and over again, adding in more objects and changing things to my liking until I have a complete scene. If I had have planned the maps out in advance, I probably could have gotten it built much quicker, but I can almost guarantee that it would not have been as good. I'm very happy with how it's turned out, and of all my games I think it's the best map I've made so far. In addition to building this new map, I've also added in a few new things, mostly to do with making the city seem more alive. The first thing I started to add in is NPCs. There's only a few different types of NPCs in the game at the moment: policemen, prostitutes, and a homeless man, but I'll be adding in more later on. Creating the textures for the NPCs is a very time-consuming process, often taking me 2 to 3 hours each, so there probably won't be a huge range of them due to this. At the moment they can't be interacted with, but if I have time once the rest of the maps are built, I'll try to do a bit more with them. The other main addition is cars. You would probably have seen parked vehicles in the previous devlog, but I've recently added in some cars that drive around the roads. They don't have any real relevance to the gameplay, but they really help to breathe a bit more life into the game. I tried to get the cars to move using animation, but they ended up looking super janky. So instead I decided to go with nav mesh agents. They're now moving with a simple but effective waypoint system, similar to the way that the killer will patrol around the maps. Now, the map isn't quite finished, but it isn't far off. Once it's done, I'll obviously be moving on to the second map, which will be set in a subway tunnel. I like to think that it's not going to take me that long to make, but going off of this first map, that's probably not going to be the case. The subway tunnel will be a much more difficult area of the game, as the killer Santa will be a much more present threat. Get it? A present threat. The inspiration for this upcoming map is the subway in Siphon Filter, and the one in Duke Nukem 3D, which is one of my all-time favourite games. Once that's done, I'll be moving on to what will probably be the final area of the game, which is the second part of the city. Luckily with this one I won't be starting from scratch. The first map was originally much bigger. In fact, I thought it was too big, so I cut about a third of the map out, and that third will be making up the base for the final map. Well then, that pretty much gets you caught up on everything from the last week. I've fallen a bit behind schedule due to everything I've spoken about in this video, but I should still manage to have the game out by the 23rd of December. As I mentioned Romero earlier, I highly recommend that you check out the book Masters of Doom if you haven't already. It goes behind the scenes on the making of some of id Software's biggest games like Wolfenstein, Doom and Quake, and chronicles the rise of one of the industry's most influential companies. It's a really entertaining read and is super inspirational. I'm obviously not sponsored by Audible, obviously, but you can get the audiobook on Audible if reading's not really your thing. I've listened to it twice this year. If you've liked this video, be sure to give it a like and comment down below to tell me your thoughts on it, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. As always, my name is Blake McKinnon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. What an iterative.